today is there is a fund in Hicksville called the Hicksville Community Fund. We're really trying to make people more aware of it and explain what it is and just kind of raise the awareness of the work that is being done and is going to be done. So to help me do that, I have Chris Yoder from Defiance and Kurt Collins, and actually Shannon Blunt is going to share too.
Is the speaker turned on, the speaker?
Do you want me to talk louder? Probably not. I just don't talk louder.
I'll have to turn it back down.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to talk a little bit about the Hicksville Fund and some of the things that we have going on. The brochures are at your table, the Hicksville Community Fund brochures. And just to give you a little bit of background, most of this is included in the brochure, but Jim and Karen Schmidt started the fund in 2011. Grants from the fund go back to the Hicksville community. They're invested through the Defiance Area Foundation, and Collins and Guilford is one of our money managers. So we try to keep those monies that are raised in Hicksville and that are in the fund invested with Collins and Guilford. The idea of the fund is to grow and preserve assets while granting money back into the Hicksville community. So money is raised, and generally interest on the fund is spent in the community, but principal can also be spent. And at the end of September, the fund value was $95,871. So there's a lot of money in that fund since 2011. There have been several grants from the fund, Hubert Opera House, the Veterans Memorial Park, Christmas Cruise Through, have all received gifts from the funds, and Defiance Area Foundation has also awarded money to those three organizations, as well as the Fair Foundation, Hicksville Athletic Boosters, Hicksville Community Service Center, Parks and Recreation, the Hicksville Playground, 4-H, Defiance County Fair Building, and Youth for Christ. So a lot of support for the Hicksville area. The Hicksville Community Fund has an advisory committee. We actually just met last week to talk about some initiatives that might be going on in Hicksville. And Karen's on that committee, Kirk is on the committee, Jim and Karen Schmidt are on the committee, Greg Slattery chairs the committee, and Debbie and Cheryl Vedder. Who else have I missed? Oh, Ricky Slattery is also on the committee. We've talked about several initiatives. Do we want to talk about some of the things that we talked about last week? Some of the ideas that came up were a walking path in the community. Talked about a splash pad. So I think they're seeking input of ideas and possibilities of things that could be done in the community with some of these funds, in addition to other gifts that we may raise going forward. So there's a lot of exciting things, a lot of exciting opportunities that can happen through the fund in the Hicksville area. I put this on your desk, what makes Defiance great, and this is just a snapshot and a quick overview of the Defiance Area Foundation. So I won't really spend much time on that, but we are over $10 million in assets as of the end of June. We've granted back over $5 million since our inception in 1979. Last year we granted $518,000 to 118 organizations. And we started a new youth philanthropy fund, and that's exciting. That's also listed on that sheet. We had 2 twin third graders who came to our grants committee to request $10,000 for a zip line at Defiance Elementary. The grants committee approved that, and that was installed last spring in Defiance. And the family came to us and said, we'd like to give back to the community. How can we do that? And so we had been talking for years about a youth philanthropy fund, but never really had anyone that wanted to step forward to kind of organize it and take the initiative to get it going. So the Tingle boys and their mom took the initiative, and their dad, Kevin and Tisha, to start a youth philanthropy fund. The boys started with $113 in their piggy bank, and so that fund has grown to over $10,000. And the idea is, I also have brochures on that up front. The general idea is this group meets 4 or 5 times a year. they'll do a service project, they'll learn about philanthropy, and then the money that's raised in that fund, 10% of it will go into an endowment fund, and the other 90% will be spent in the community, and the youth, with the help of an advisory committee, will help decide where that money is going to go. So it's going to teach the youth about raising money, about granting money. These kids were at Cheap Supermarket Sunday, and we're handing out carnations to folks and just sharing what they're doing with youth philanthropy. And these little guys were so excited. Like, they didn't even want to go bowling afterwards. They wanted to stay and continue to give out flowers. They were bagging groceries, helping the folks, the customers, bag groceries. So they said that one of the ladies that they gave a flower to said that she cried and said, "You don't know how much this means to me. I was just diagnosed with cancer. How thoughtful for, you know, the boys to reach out to me." And I think they had 10 or 12 kids. And then another lady, it was her birthday, so they just appreciate it. So it gets the youth out in the community, gets them talking about philanthropy, the spirit of giving. So we're really excited about that. And on Giving Tuesday, I just spoke to Jim and Karen Schmidt yesterday, and on Giving Tuesday, we're going to do an online initiative to help raise money for that youth philanthropy fund. And Jim and Karen have agreed to match $1,000 of whatever is raised that day. Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So we're excited about that. That's kind of something new that's going on at the foundation. And Shannon, do you want to talk for a few minutes about Clothes for Kids and what we've done there?
Clothes for Kids is a program that provides clothes for the kiddos in Hicksville, and also for Defiance County. I believe Defiance, Tenora, Ayersville, St. John's, Good Sam are all included. But this year I headed up the program for Hicksville. It was a fantastic experience for me. I was glad to be involved with it. What we provide for the kids, we provide a jacket or a hoodie to keep them warm, pants. Most of them got a pair of jeans, jogging pants, t-shirt, sweatshirt, socks, and underwear. Did I miss anything? And shoes. Yes. And shoes also. So it's a really neat program, and what I love about it is you're not self-identified. You're actually identified by the school. I worked with the school guidance counselor and also Mr. Countryman and the elementary principal, Kristen Kaufman. And so it's fantastic in my opinion because the kids are identified as needing these items by the school. What we were able to do is provide this pack of clothes for 21 kids in Hicksville. We raised over $1,800 for providing the clothing. And then in addition to the money, we also had sponsors that went out, purchased the clothes, and then provided it to me, and then we gifted it to the kids at school. And Courtney, thanks to Courtney, she was one of the sponsors that went out and purchased. And a few of the other members here also gave monetary donations into the Rotary Club, so thanks to those that did sponsor kiddos, we appreciated that. We also had this year, which was unique, I believe, for the program, we had one lady, she volunteered, and it was Paula Scranton, and she's like, I would love to go shopping, and so we had all this money given. The Eagles donated $1,300 to sponsor 13 kiddos, and so we had these kids that needed shopped for, and so she did shopping for, I believe, 8 or 9 kids. And so it was fantastic to have her involved as well. So it's not just giving money, it's also giving of your time. I think that's the program in a nutshell. Did I miss anything, Chris? You got it. No? Okay. And thanks again to everyone that donated and sponsored.
So circling back to the Hicksville Community Fund, please help us spread the word on the fund and how it benefits the community, that grants go back to the community. If you're interested in serving on the committee or have input, we'd like your ideas there. As we're going into the holiday season, if you're looking for a tax deduction or you're interested in making a gift, we would appreciate any support that you might have. We also have someone from Hicksville that made a legacy gift to the fund. This was a couple years ago. She said, I want to support the entire Hicksville community. I have grown up in Hicksville my entire life, and as opposed to picking one fund, she actually saw a photo in the paper, a grant photo that we had done, and so she called, asked me how it worked, and so she's named the Hicksville Fund as a legacy in her will. In her estate plan. So keep that in mind also if you have an interest in that or you know someone who might, because we appreciate your support in it, and all of the money that's raised in the fund goes back to the Hicksville community, so ultimately it will benefit Hicksville. So, okay, what have I missed?
I don't think anything. Yeah.
What kind of questions do you have? Jim, you're on our board, or just retired. Amy, any comments or anything that you guys want to add?
One question I have,
Yes, Turk.
might be directed more towards Shannon, but they probably made up the list of kids that they felt needed. And did you just divide the amount you had between all those? I'm assuming everybody got covered that they felt needed something, or?
Yes, what happens is the school will give us the child's name, they give us the size of the clothes, shoes that they need, and then the shopper buys what that child needs. And so, I'm gonna use Courtney as an example, I hope you don't mind. She was given a child, the size and everything, and then she purchased each item that kiddo needed, and then we just made sure everything was covered within what she purchased. So that's how that works, is you're given a child and the size, and then each person takes one child. So, did I answer it?
Yep.
Okay.
And any extra money you guys save that and help throughout the year, kids?
Yes, that's a great question too, Amy. Any additional funds that are raised, we'll try to help children throughout the year. Let's say someone has a fire in their home, or someone new comes into the school system and they need some help. That's something we have done and will continue to do. Another thing that we've talked about is helping like junior high. This is basically elementary children. We've talked about not doing an entire outfit for junior high, but maybe like sweatshirts, providing the school with sweatshirts. So we've talked about reaching out to all the guidance counselors and just asking them, like, what kind of needs do you have? A lot of the elementary schools need extra socks and underwear for the kids. So we'll just provide that to them. If they need sweatshirts, we'll provide that. So now that we've wrapped up, last week we wrapped up the elementary children, our committee will reconvene and say, okay, we've got some extra money in the fund. What's the next step? What do the schools need? So we're hoping that it helps us stay in good communication with all of our school systems and determine any additional needs that they might have. That, you know, a lot of the teachers spend their own money for stuff like this, but we have a fund available to help with that. So that's our goal, is just continue to help them and let them know that there are funds available. So if you know of anyone, you know, in the school system that may have a need, you know, let Shannon know, or the typical channel is the requests come from the school guidance counselors, but I've had folks call our office, and I just kind of explained the channel is to go through the teacher or guidance counselor at the school, and that's really how the requests come to us, is through the school system. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Courtney.
If somebody has an idea on a project that they would like help from the Hicksville Fund, who do they contact about their ideas and projects?
Greg? Would they contact Greg, or
Any of us.
anyone on the committee? So the question was, who do I contact if I have an idea on a project from the Hicksville Fund? And anyone from the Hicksville Community Fund could help and bring that request to the committee. Good question. All right, thank you very much.